Here is how I started my year when I grew a small design studio into a creative tech and marketing agency. Hello Creative and Techie, welcome to a new show on Ace Creative Connect Plus. In this show, I'm going to be sharing tips, principles, insights, and commentaries that will help you in your creative and tech journey. And funny enough, this show is called Hello Creative and Techie. In today's episode, I want to share with you something that I learned when I ran a small studio and grew it into a creative tech and marketing agency offering services to both local and global brands. Interestingly, I realized that most creative and tech professionals do not do it, especially those that run small, medium-scale businesses and freelancers. And it's actually very, very simple. Number one, you have to have a clear vision. I know this is cliche, but not to worry. I'm going to break it down into practical, simple steps. And I'll start by sharing a story. Growing up, my dad used to get us diaries every year. And what I used to do basically at the beginning of the year is that I used to write down where I see the design studio by the end of the year. And I always approach this in two parts. Now, the first part is that I always have a yearly, simple, clear vision statement. Now, this vision statement has to be clear, it has to be simple, it has to be non-ambiguous, and it has to fit the overall vision that you've had for your business over the years. For example, if the overall vision for your design agency is to be a global design agency, helping brands to grow by creating marketing and communication solutions. Now, what you can do is that for that yearly clear vision statement, it could be, for example, like to be a leading design studio in your city, creating solutions and quality brand products or brand solutions for businesses in your city while fostering client relationship. Now that can be your yearly vision. Another example for techies is if your long-term yearly vision for your tech business is to build a financial solution that solves cross-border payment challenges across various parts of the world. Now your yearly focus can be one, to build products, so it can be to provide existing apps to various clienteles, or it can also be to expand what's your users base on your app in a defined market. Now, the key principle to what I'm trying to explain to you is that you need to have a key focus for the year. Focus is very key. Your yearly vision should represent a way forward and not an entire journey. Now, the second part when setting my vision for the year always has to do with numbers. Now, this is where most people struggle, but it's actually simple. Now, this should include things like the financial projection that you have for your business. It should also include the number of clienteles that you intend to acquire for this coming year. And that thing you can also include in this number metrics or this number stage of the vision is that you have to include what we call your clear ideal customer profile. That's your ICPs or demography. You also need to also put it in, which is what I used to do, put in things like what new market or what new industry do we want to get into for the business. And that thing I used to work on then when I was growing that business is I always include specific new team that we intend to acquire that would help us scale, a new client that we basically require for this new year. And also the final thing I always include basically is what processes, what strategies, what policies do we need to put in place that will make things easy and effective in this coming year. And yes, there are always more details underneath all this, but you need to understand that what I've shared with you earlier are just basic foundations. Now, if there are any other thing that you feel that should be in your vision statement, please add it in the comment section, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us so you can get more useful tips that would help you grow in your creative and tech journey. Once this is clear, I always break it down into realistic goals for Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. Now, the reason why I did this was to be able to measure the progress for the year. Why is this important, you may ask? You need to understand that a vision is a mental picture of your desired future. So whether you run a small, medium, or large-scale creative and tech business, or you're a freelancer, what a vision does for you is that it clearly helps you to shape your year. A vision doesn't just shape your year, it determines the trajectory you plan to go for the year. It influences the industry you plan to break into. It also influences the demographic you plan to target. It influences the marketing strategy and the budget you have for the year. It also influences your annual and quarterly financial projection. It determines how many clients you plan to acquire that year. It also helps in your client retention. See, you need to understand that without a vision, you are reacting, but with a vision, you are leading. I hope you've learned something today because I have. In the next episode, I'm going to be sharing more powerful tips, insights, commentaries that would help you grow and sustain yourself as a creative and tech professional in this fast-paced world. Until then, keep acing it in all that you do. See you on the next one. Cheers.